at hand. In Orange County, we have over 110,000 households that are cost burdened, with the average cost of homes at $290,000 and average rent for apartments between $1,200 and $1,500 a month. We don't have a housing crisis in Orange County. We have a housing affordability crisis. The body has studied the issue for the past 8 months, along with the tools and strategies that can move the needle on this crisis. From the types of housing to where housing is located, the financial mechanisms and resources to increase and preserve our housing stock, along with regulatory and policy changes, this is the type of action that changes the landscape of housing to meet the needs of our current workforce, residents, and for future generations to come. We know that Orange County cannot do this work alone. We must continue to actively pursue funding through the federal, state, and other local partnerships with the private sector. What I will say to you is this. We do have to do a better job even at the local level to hold our state officials accountable for the Sadowski Trust Fund and those dollars which have been specifically identified to assist with the housing challenges as a state. We are not getting our fair share of those dollars back in Orange County. And through this legislative session, we will work with our local legislative delegation to hopefully ensure that we get more of our fair share of that existing Sadowski Trust Fund. We have seen firsthand the benefits of working in public-private partnerships that has brought affordable housing to the residents of Arbor Bend, Ability Housing, Emerald Villas, and nearing completion, which is nearing completion early next year. Emerald Villas Phase 2 housing for low-income and very low-income seniors is another project that we have here in this area. Another example of a recent public-private partnership is the U.S. Department of Transportation's Bill Grant Award to Orange County. That announcement was made earlier this week. The $20 million grant will go towards creating new and modifying existing infrastructure in the Lake Nona area, including a multimodal corridor with dedicated autonomous vehicle lanes and bicycle and pedestrian pathways and integrated and multi-use mobility hub, and support for the AV or autonomous vehicles, all designed to reduce automobile dependency. This is the first Bill grant awarded within Central Florida. We are committed here in Orange County to change the direction of accessible housing because everyone deserves a safe and affordable place to live and raise a family. Once again, I thank our task force for their expertise and their commitment to this important issue, and I look forward to receiving the action plan and moving forward with our Board of County Commissioners' support. At this time, I'm going to ask the co-chairs to come forward and say a few words, and we'll begin with Mr. Alan Keene, and he will be followed by Mr. Terry Prather, and then we'll take a few questions. Mr. Keene.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been my honor to serve you and the Board of County Commissioners, along with Terry Prather, who's become a friend, in this effort, which is monumental and overwhelming, but we made some recommendations we think that will be impactful to help begin to solve this problem. And I'll point you to page 13, I think, and 14 of the report, where there is a specific reference to measurement. So this report is going to be measured for its success in each of the areas that are being proposed so that we all and the residents of Orange County can see that the implementation is occurring and it will not be a report just sitting on a shelf. So we're excited about that, the follow-up, the hard work, and we thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it has been an honor and a privilege to serve on this task force. Two things that stood out to me during this process. One was the professionalism and the effort from the staff. We have some great people working for us at the county. The staff that supported this task force did a great job of really teaching us, many people, 30-plus people that came together, that we're not all housing experts. But the one thing that the task force all agreed on, that this challenge in Orange County is our challenge, and it's up to all of us to be a part of the solution. So this is not something that the mayor and his team can solve by themselves. It takes all of us giving input and providing support, not only with the mayor but the county commissioners. So I look forward to all of us and the citizens of our county to support this effort and solve some of these challenges that other communities have not been able to solve. Orange County in Central Florida is what I consider one of the places that excels in collaboration between private, public, and citizens. So we need to do that when it comes to housing, and I look forward to being a part of it. Thank you. And back to Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. In terms of next steps, the question is perhaps where do we go from here? In terms of next steps, there will be a full discussion before the Board of County Commission. We're looking at doing that on December the 17th, right before Christmas. So we want to deliver that gift to the citizens of Orange County as well. From there, there will be various other actions that will need to be undertaken by the Board of County Commission as we begin to move forward with execution of the plan itself. So with that said, we'll take a few questions at this time if there are any questions.
Mayor, you said there's 110,000 burning households, right, rent-burning households right now in Orange County. And this plan is calling for 30,000 units to be created by 2030. So I can't help but see a deficit there. Do we feel like this is going to do enough for those 110,000 burning families?
Well, this is not the only, I think, solution to addressing the 110,000 plus individuals who are chronically rent stressed. In terms of a strategy, one way to address that is we have to increase wages so that people can more or better afford rent payments themselves. And so we will be working with our public and our private sector. Of course, back in May, we announced that here within Orange County government, it is our goal to increase over a 2-year period of time the minimum wage that we will pay our full-time workers to $15 an hour. You've heard the City of Orlando express the same. There have been various other theme parks who've expressed the same. And so we're seeing some adjustment here in terms of wages within our community. But if we increase wages, that's not enough. We still have to stabilize the overall cost of housing. We have to look at the incentives that we may perhaps provide in the form of rent payment and vouchers, and that is something that we will further develop a plan, a specific plan to address those issues.
They talk about $15,000 an hour, sorry, $15 an hour wage,
Yes.
But I'm looking on here, and most of the units that they want to have built by 2030 are attainable, but they're saying the household income needs to be $83,000 a year. And if you're making $15 an hour, that's nowhere close, $83,000 a year. So will these attainable units even really help people who are struggling?
Well, part of the plan is to introduce into our housing market a different type of housing that has a lower price point. That is something that can occur as we change our land use plans, our comprehensive plans, and even the architecture of the homes themselves. And so I believe that missing middle, you'll see additional types of housing here that will help to address that as well.
Mayor, one of the task force members themselves brought up this point today about the human element being left out, concerns about things that have been brought up in the public part of it as it relates to tenants' rights, as it relates to evictions, etc. What are your feelings about that? Is the human element left out of this, and how do we address it?
Well, we're talking about housing, so this is infused with the human element. We're talking about people, and in terms of addressing the tenants' rights and all of those types of things, that was not specifically within the charge or the scope of what this group was asked to do. That does not mean that those aren't important things to address as well, but within the time period that they were allotted, what we had to do was prioritize what we would have this group address. Those other things are things that obviously I'm still committed to working within our community to address as well.
I think that even within the public, there were concerns that once the mortar is poured, once the buildings go up, that the people who are going to reside in those will be the right people in there, and that they won't be tossed out for whatever reason. I think that was some of the things that were of concern.
Well, I think everybody on this task force cares about the people in this community. Otherwise, they wouldn't have volunteered for this effort. I certainly care. I can tell you that our Board of County Commissioners care about our residents. We're not going to stand idly by and let people be mistreated in their homes. We're going to work to make certain that their rights are protected and that we take care of the least of those in our community. I believe that that is the strength of the Metro Orlando area because of the types and the history and the experience of the collaborations that we have here.
Now, you talked about public and private partners.
Do you mind? I'm going to go to him if you don't mind.
You had talked about the intersection of transportation and the housing issue. How might the 10-year action plan affect future transportation planning in the county?
What I can tell you is that this plan will be integrated into a larger plan of action that we have to really address many of the issues. Yes, we're advocating a transportation sales tax in November 2020. We have endeavored to have many community meetings and conversations about that because if we can reduce the overall cost of transportation here, that allows for more discretionary income for individuals who may be low-wage earners. One of the things that I brought back from London, the trip that I was on last week, was that they have a mass transit system that is a very mature system. It's been in place for years. However, the difference between London and here, they said 60% or so of the people in London use public transit. That's not the case here. But we want to improve our connectivity with our public transit system here so that we can positively impact the free flow of traffic here and also reduce the overall cost of transportation in our community. That will not happen without us being very specific and intentional about it. It will not happen without us having some type of dedicated funding stream. At least that is my opinion. And so we will correlate the two issues together. And as you said, there's an intersection of the two. But wages and pay and all of that comes together.
We'll take one or two more questions.
Yes.
One of the things in the report is the public-private partnerships that you want to pursue. Some of the biggest employers in this region are theme parks. I'm wondering if there's any thought that's going to be put specifically to requiring theme parks like Universal and Disney to work with you about providing affordable housing for their low-wage workers.
I would say to the question about whether or not we would ask theme parks, I wouldn't leave out any component of our corporate community in terms of being good neighbors, helping with the challenges that we have here. So I would say stand by. And, there's a recommendation in this report to create a land trust with funds that could be used to do various things to help stabilize rent costs or assist individuals who are chronically rent stressed. I fully intend to go to our corporate community and ask them to support in a financial way that fund. Because we're just receiving the draft report today, we still have to work out the mechanics of how that will actually work in this community. So that's why I say stand by. Yes, there's certainly definitely an opportunity there. And now I'll go back to you.
Thank you. How changeable is this plan, and how your chairs mentioned it will be measured. How are you going to measure it?
It's going to be measured by are we improving the available housing stock? And do we have additional units that are available for people who are chronically rent stressed? Do we, as we set up any type of funding mechanisms going forward, how many people did we assist in that process? How many people were put into housing but without the assistance of whatever funds that we bring forward? they would not be in housing. There are different metrics that we can put in place to know whether or not we're being effective or not. And there will always be an opportunity to improve. This is going to be, I think, a living plan that over time where we'll need to make some adjustments to it. Okay, thank you all very much. I'm going to end at this point, but thank you all for being here. Okay.